Early Clover was born in Middle Georgia in the 1950s. He was mentored by some of the best in the music industry, including James Brown.
Yeah.
Early has performed everywhere from the Apollo Theater in New York to the Congo Showroom at the Sahara Hotel in Las Vegas. Speaking of Las Vegas, Early lived and performed there for over 10 years. He has recorded here at Capricorn Sound Studios, both back in the 70s
Yes.
and just a few weeks ago, as a matter of
Yes.
fact.
Yes.
He is the lead singer for Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, the Coasters, and also performs with the Soul Drifters and Soul of America.
Yeah.
And in fact, just today, just afternoon, you performed somewhere.
Yeah, I did.
So you're a busy man.
Absolutely.
So welcome, Early Clover.
It's a pleasure, Tim. It's a pleasure.
We have a past.
Yes, we do.
40 something years ago, but we can't figure out what it was. And we played together, but we don't. And basically, I just remember your name, Early Clover. That's how I know that we have a past.
Yes.
But you grew up in not far from here in Macon.
Dublin, Georgia.
Dublin, Georgia.
Wrightsville, Dublin, Georgia.
Okay. Yeah. And that's where you were born in that area?
I was born in Lawrence County, Dublin, but I was mostly raised in Wrightsville because I finished high school at Dock Hill High School in Wrightsville.
Okay.
Before they changed the name to Johnson County High.
That's where Herschel Walker was.
Yeah, Herschel is my cousin.
Herschel is your cousin?
Yes, he
How
is.
about that? Small world. So tell us about your music development years and growing up.
Well, I was always, from a child, from age 5, as I can remember that far back, I was always interested in music. It did something to me spiritually, it just stirred my soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at the age 7, I got to framing on a piece of wood, and I got the idea to make me a guitar.
Wow.
And I made me a guitar out of a 2x4 and 4 hay strings.
4? I don't even know what a hay string is.
That's what you tie hay up.
Okay.
You bale hay, you
yeah.
tie it up. I got me 4 of those strings, 4 nails, and nailed them at the end, each end of the 2x4.
Oh, yeah.
And it actually made a sound.
Well, yeah, a lot of blues guys would do that. They would string something up, nail it to, and use a slide on it.
Yeah, exactly. And my dad bought me a guitar, and I learned, my brother taught me one song, Honky Tonk. And from that one song, I learned to play guitar and sing.
Okay.
And I took music lessons when I was in school, from 8th grade until end of the 10th grade, going into the 11th. They got rid of our music teacher. But then I did a band clinic at Fort Valley University.
Okay.
For about 3 months. But college wasn't for me at that time.
Yeah.
That was a time when you either was part of the fraternity or you was an outcast.
Okay.
And I knew I would have been an outcast, so because I wouldn't go for that hazing and all that stuff today.
Yeah.
So Rufus Thomas saw us perform, and he asked us if we would be willing to go on the road with him for a few months.
Wow.
And we said yes. And so I told my professor at the college, I said, I'm not coming back. And he said, why? I said, well, I'm going on the road with Rufus Thomas. He said, well, at least you can get an education and get paid for it.
Exactly. I mean, that's a true education.
Right.
That is a true education.
Yeah.
And how was working for Rufus?
He was a darling. I mean, he was strict.
Yeah.
And firm, but good to work. I learned a lot from him. He was the type of person, he didn't yell at you when you made a mistake or anything. He'd help you understand where you made the mistake and what you need to do to fix it, that you don't do it the next time.
Yeah.
And he was a model in my life as far as music is concerned.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were also mentored by James Brown.
Yes.
How did that happen?
Well, James saw us perform. He was taking his daughter to college.
Okay.
In Macon, Georgia. And
was he living here at that time?
Yeah, he was living in Augusta at the time. But
Augusta, okay.
Yeah, but his daughter was going to college here. I forget what college she was going to, but she was going to college here. And one of his guys introduced me to him.
Yes.
And he asked me to meet him here it was the Hilton, I think it was.
Yeah.
That he asked me to meet him because he was meeting his daughter there. And I went and the guy introduced us. We talked and everything. And I told him what I was trying to do. And he said, well, I'll tell you what. I have a place called Man's World Enterprise in Augusta. He gave me the address and everything. Come over and we'll go from there. And I went over and he taught me how to write lyrics in the correct form.
Okay.
You know, and song poem, because I didn't know. I thought you just write it like you did a letter.
Yeah.
When I first started, but he taught me how to write it, you know, in song poem form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
he was good to work with.
okay, was he? Because I know.
Yeah, a lot of
he has a reputation.
Yeah, he does, and I can see why.
Yeah.
He has that.
I mean, you talk about strict.
Yeah, he was firm.
Yeah.
And he always told me that there's no such thing as a mistake in music. Okay. It's only another creation trying to happen.
Okay. All right.
That was his philosophy.
Yeah.
And he was strict. When I went to Man's World Enterprise, the band was there. You know, they had a big rehearsing room, but he said they never rehearse. He said when they come there, they go over the show.
Yeah.
And I saw him do that. When he come in, he hit that button, turn on the studio, because he record everything you do.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Come in, hit that button. Fellas, you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Dum, dum, dum. And you have to be ready.
Yes.
Because he don't want no fooling around on the instruments, none of that.
Right.
I remember one day I came in there, Maceo was just warming up his horn. He said, yo, Maceo, what's up? We don't do that here. You practice home or wherever. We don't do that here.
Yeah. I know he recorded here at Capricorn, the early 70s, and the engineers that I've spoke to have recorded him before.
Yeah.
When he walks in, you push record.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he said everything that he do needed to be documented.
Yeah.
And I can see, like I said, I can see why he was so strict, because he knew what he wanted to do even before he did it.
Yeah.
It was like he didn't have to wonder, okay, what should I do this? It was like from start to finish every time.
Yeah.
I mean, he was an amazing man.
Great talent, and you know, he's part of Macon's music history because he lived here for maybe a decade or so.
Oh yeah.
But you've lived in several different music places. You lived in New York.
New York was my real learning experience of the music world.
Why did you go to New York?
I went to New York because I wanted to perform on the Apollo stage.
Okay.
And I told my mom before I left, I said, Mom, I'm going to win. She said, well, you got the talent. So she said, that's one thing, I just don't feel comfortable with you going to New York and then you don't know nobody. I said, well, I know Jesus. That's all I need to know.
And you didn't know anybody there?
I didn't. Wow. I slept in my car for a whole week because I thought in New York, the hotels was the same price it was in Dublin. Yeah.
Oh.
Lo and behold, when I checked the hotel, they were like $100 and some per night.
Yeah.
This was in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, like, Jesus, I'll be out of money before this month end if I do this.
Yeah.
So I would sleep in my car, and in the morning time, I would go to the service station to take a bath and wash up and change clothes.
Wow.
And I went through the Apollo. I auditioned. I made the audition the first time, and the first time I performed on the Apollo stage, I got second place.
Oh, good.
And the third time, first time I got second place. The second time, I got first place.
Okay.
And then I was asked to participate in what they call the show-offs.
Yeah.
The show-offs is for the record companies to come and look at you. And I got second place in the show-off. And then I came back the second time in the second place, and I got first place again. So I won first place. I'm a 7-time winner at the Apollo. I came back the 4th time in the Top Dog of the Year. I got 3rd place twice. And the Super Dog of the Year, I tied 4th place with David Peaston.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
And they were going to give me and him a record deal at the same time, but I didn't have a demo. You know, I wasn't experienced on that, so I didn't have a demo. David did, so they hired him, and they were going to give me a chance to make a demo and everything, but then I got the job with the Coasters instead.
Okay, well, tell me how that happened.
I was always looking for different things in New York, you know, opportunities.
Yeah.
And they had this paper called The Village Voice.
Sure.
And in there it had this ad lead singer wanted for group. Call Mr. Ed. That's all it said.
Okay.
I said, now, what is this? Mr. Ed, you know, I'm thinking about the
That's
horse.
a
The talking horse.
Yeah.
And so I called Mr. Ed and go to Harlequin Studios, and there are 62 people in line.
Yeah.
Finally made it about 6, a little after 6. I finally made it in. When I got in, they had me to do Sitting on the Dock of the Bay.
That should have been familiar to you.
Yeah, it was very. I did Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. And he said, can you do harmony? I said, yeah. So he had another guy who...
Now, did you have any idea at this point who you were auditioning for?
No.
No, okay.
Not at all.
Okay.
And he said, okay, this guy right here, he sounds pretty good. We had him to stay back. He said, so I want you all to harmonize My Girl.
Sure.
We did My Girl, gave us a piece of paper, said both of y'all read these lines in harmony and sing them. And it was Yakety Yak. Take out the papers and the trash.
Yeah.
So we harmonized on that. Okay, you lead and you be second tenor. That's what I told the other guy, you be second tenor. You lead. So okay, this job is with the Coasters. Now, we got a show coming up in 9 days. So you need to learn the lead to 8 songs and be ready to perform in 9 days. We're going to be practicing it every day.
Yeah.
And you're going to get paid for rehearsals. Wow, 8 songs in 8 days and the show is on the 9th day? Okay, they gave me the material and I ate, slept, and all that Coasters material. I'm serious, man.
Yeah.
But the 9th day I was ready. Did the show and the rest is history.
And you're still, every once in a while, performing with the Coasters.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, going out this weekend.
Yeah.
And next weekend. Yeah.
You didn't stay in New York forever. You eventually moved to Las Vegas.
Yeah, I actually lived in New York for 19 years because I was still living in New York when I went to Vegas for about 6 or 7 years.
Right.
After we got the opening contract at the Sahara, they put us up at the Sahara because they wanted us there. They didn't want us going back and forth. They wanted us there.
Right.
And so I lived at the Sahara for about 1.5 years.
Wow, you lived at the hotel?
At the hotel in a
cool.
suite.
And so you were out there for more than a decade.
More than a decade. 10 years. A little over 10.
So did you get used to the dry heat?
Yeah, well, there's a thing called Vegas throat. That everybody gets when you first go to Vegas from another climate. You get this raspy throat and stuff, and we had to work hard to keep our throats clear and everything.
Along the way, you've done some recording.
Yes, I have.
And as a matter of fact, we have a 45 of something you recorded here at Capricorn.
Yes, I did, and I forgot to bring a couple of my CDs up here. But that was my very first recording at Capricorn Studios. Think It Over.
Think It Over.
And the flip side was Freedom.
Okay. And this was released on, you said, Dove Records.
Dove Records out of Orlando, Florida.
But this is a re-release.
Re-release.
That happened when?
This happened in 2022. Yes, 2022.
Yeah, it's amazing that there's these little record labels in Europe
Yes.
that re-release stuff like this.
Right.
It's kind of amazing.
Yes.
We have a lot of cop people who they've done this type thing for. Eventually you came back to Middle Georgia. You left Vegas.
Yeah. While I was in Vegas, so I also recorded 3 other CDs of original music: Love Man, Loving You, and Live from Las Vegas, a tribute to legends in Motown.
I know you think that I'm just a playboy that you can push around. You seem to enjoy every little chance you get. Oh, to cut me down. You've been telling everyone that you can get me back, but I'm here to tell you, girl, it don't work like that.
Now, did James Brown ever get to see you perform later on after he mentored you any?
We never crossed paths again.
Really?
We never crossed paths because I was so busy with the coasters
Yeah.
and everything, because we were doing like sometimes 2 shows a day
Yeah.
with the coasters, and we were traveling everywhere. We were going like 5 days a week. We were on the road.
Yeah. But now you not only perform with the Coasters, there's a few other, the Soul Drifters and
Yes.
Soul of America. What's the difference between these groups?
Well, the Soul Drifters, that's my first band.
Okay.
As you can see there, it was Early Clover
Oh,
and the Middle
yeah.
Georgia Soul Drifters.
Yeah.
Yes, we were the Middle Georgia Soul Drifters at the beginning, and we changed the name to Smokestack. So when I came back in 2019, I reformed the band, and I called it just Early Clover and the Soul Drifters.
Yeah.
But meantime, I had already worked with a friend of mine two of them out of New York, Dave Revels and Dave Backer, and we put together this show band called Soul of America,
Okay.
doing different artists similar to this, but it's like 2 or 3 steps up.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you do solo stuff also.
absolutely, all the time.
I was doing some research on you,
Mhm.
and I saw that you've written an autobiography.
Yes, I have. From sawdust to stardust.
Okay. So tell us about the writing process and how you decided to do that.
My ex-wife's cousin, Miss Barbara Tabak, I went to one of their, I forget what they call it. It's a Jewish thing that they have where they have dinner, they have lunch.
Seder?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I went to one of them with them, and they were asking me questions and stuff, about my career and all this. And she said, "Tell me some stories," and so I did. And she said, "You ought to write a book." She said, "I'm a ghostwriter," and she said, "You ought to write a book." She said, because she and I, we spent about 6 months or better,
Yeah.
just getting material together to put in form. And after about a year, we got it all together. She did basically everything that she would record what I would say,
Yeah.
and then she would write it out and go back over it with me and everything. And
What would you say has been the highlight?
of my career,
Yeah.
performing for the President of the United States,
Oh, cool.
Bill Clinton, and for his wife, Hillary,
Yeah.
and the Apollo.
Yeah.
Those are the highlights of my music career, and I've received a few awards from different companies for things that I've done in
Yeah.
the past. Haven't received a Grammy yet,
Oh,
but
okay.
that's in the making,
Yeah.
But also the honor to work with such talent as James Brown, Rufus Thomas, William Bell, and Joe Simon.
Yeah.
That to me, feather in my cap.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Early is very busy these days. You've only made it to like 2 of our comp lunches so far because you're so busy.
Yeah.
But we certainly value you, and
Thank you. Same you all.
It's great to get reacquainted with you after
All those years.
All those years.
I remember my favorite song with you all was "Babe" by Styx. I
wow.
love that song. That was my favorite song to sing with you guys.
Okay.
Excuse me.
That kind of brings back a little memory. So yeah. But Early, I'm thanks for doing this.
My pleasure, Tim.
And we may do it again.
I look forward to it.